Joe, if you're listening, you stupid fuck. He looks like one of those guys that from Long Island that wants to be a white rapper, but he's 30-something years old, lives in his parents' basement with the droopy cap and the whatever, but he thinks he's Howard Stern, and he's got a cool way of talking in the microphone. And he's a shock jock or whatever, and somehow or another he accumulates followers on Twitter. It's fucking pathetic. So please, nobody listen to anything involving a guy named Joe Cronin, because it's just so fucking sad.
It is sad when you pass out because of a show sucking so much ass that you literally fall asleep because of how bad it sucks. This was, now I've got a clogged ear. My right ear is clogged as we speak. It's so clogged up from earwax that it's muffled and like my equilibrium isn't right. So I had to lay down on my side. So that did contribute to it. But it was also like that last night during Raw. But I was able to enjoy Raw. And every time I kept trying to watch SmackDown to see if something was going to happen that made me interested, it didn't happen. This show could not have. This show was kind of like the Bruins in the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. After the first period, I went, wow, this is over. Because we couldn't score on all those opportunities, and they scored twice on only a couple. This show was just started with the worst way it could start, with the New Day thing and Dolph Ziggler and whatever, and it was just so long, the beginning. It started kind of fiery, like, okay, comes the New Day, cool. And it was just horrible, man. It was, to be honest, I was disappointed right off the bat. I think one of my favorite things of the night was the way that Alexa Bliss stared at Bayley. And I don't mean that I mean like she did a good job acting or something like that. What I mean is, when she stared at Bayley, she kind of had this look on her face like, yeah, I fuck really good, or something like that. At least that's like that. That's what I got out of that. So I was thinking to myself, like, hell yeah, look at Alexa Bliss. Like, wow. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Super Chat Party.
What up, Spaz?
JD's View Entertainment has to look at pics of his own mom to get hard when he's poking his cat.
Oh my God, Mom! Oh my God, Mom! Yeah, it's probably right. That is maybe that might be true. Spaz Phoenix, thanks for the $5. That donation was more entertainment than SmackDown was. I got to give it up for Jake DeMarco, who called me several times wondering where I was. But like I said, this show put me to fucking sleep. And by the way, because of those weird porn bots that have hacked YouTube, I do have any more than like a couple emojis and your message gets blocked. It's because of the porn bot spam bot thing that hacked YouTube. I figured I would do something to combat that a little bit. And yeah, this show was a piece of shit. Just talking to Jake DeMarco here real quick. There he is. Hello.
You're a good friend trying to cover for me. You know, I appreciate it. You can be honest though. You know, I was messing around with some anal beads. I sneezed, and it was a mess. It was a mess, and it took me about a half an hour to clean it up. And you just pretended to take a nap. So thank you. I appreciate you waiting for me. But
oh my god!
What a shit show of a night. Literally.
I'm trying to get
this was a disaster.
PPV is doomed. Bully segment was cancer, and Bully is still a loser and bad wrestler.
Oh god!
I stopped after the first hour. F-show.
Jay Paula, thank you for the donation. I think maybe all the fucking retards out there who said last night was just as bad as everything. I feel like
they jinxed us.
Yeah, I feel like this was karma to those people. I literally feel like tonight's show was karma for all the dumb fucks out there who last night were like, last night's show was just as bad as it always is. Oh yeah? How'd you like tonight's show? You fucking idiot. There was some guy there was people leaving me comments on my review last night at the beginning of the review in the comment section saying, you know, Joe, I don't understand why you like the show tonight so much. I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. I'm like, I gave it a 5 out of 10. You fucking idiot.
I saw one of the comments.
Lots
saying,
of them.
Like, how could you enjoy the, you know, it's like, comparatively speaking, yeah, but
it's like, dude,
thanks for not listening to the show at all.
Yeah, you didn't listen to the review. You just commented because I was like, "Wow, because it was so night and day." This show, and we said this last night. I'm a little worried about tomorrow night because are they gonna do this again, or was this all blown tonight? Was this everything tonight? And clearly, they were like two different shows. It was almost like SmackDown went on as planned, but last night's Raw was like, we gotta do this, that, and this, and fucking like let's fucking go. Like,
yeah, they were in, you know, crunch time last night, and today they just couldn't follow up worth a shit. And I think they were kind of defeated too because the ratings only went up, I think 5%, 5.2% compared to last week's show. And last week also had the NBA Finals, so I think they thought that they would see a big bounce back of at least 10%. And that didn't happen, so I think it just deflated their, you know, took the wind right out of their sails and deflated any momentum they were kind of expelling forward. So they didn't have a huge drop-off either like they usually do. You know, over the 3 hours, it went from 2.3 to 2.08, so it wasn't a massive, you know, fluctuation in viewers either. It just wasn't good overall.
This show was acid tonight in my face. Like,
I was just hoping that with last night being a better show, word of mouth would catch on and more people would have tuned in to SmackDown. So we'll see what the ratings are like. But
no, I'm glad. Oh my god, like
that would go against them entirely. Hopefully they just watched last night and didn't watch tonight because there was nothing really. I liked the Moment of Bliss segment and that was it.
Really?
Well, no, I
you liked that segment?
I actually did enjoy that segment.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I think it might be all the drugs, but
that sounded like I feel like I was listening to a middle school fight.
I appreciated that they were kind of forthcoming and honest, and I know what they're getting at. I mean, it's very bland. It's not like it was like, oh wow, it blew me away. But that was probably a 5.5 out of 10 for the whole night, and that was the highest rated segment for me out of everything. So.
I mean, everything was garbage. I mean, Dolph Ziggler and Xavier Woods, I couldn't give a shit about.
I can't care at all, and that was. I have no interest in Dolph Ziggler, especially knowing that he's just, you know, essentially viewed as a fill-in at this point in time. Still, he was just, you know, inserted to replace those that weren't going to Saudi, and they're finishing that segment, and then they go ahead and they shit all over. You know, basically Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at the end by having him lose 2-0. And I hate when they do 2 out of 3 falls matches and the first fall happens in 20 seconds. You know, it's like, oh wow, they didn't see that coming. Yeah. I always find that to be ridiculous. Like if it's executed really well, then you're like, oh, all right. But this was so sloppy, and
very
rarely people get hit with finisher after finisher, nothing happens. But yet, because it's right in the beginning, you know, they got to be surprising.
Yeah, and very rarely does anyone win a match in the first 3 minutes like that, and especially those caliber guys. Like,
yeah,
so
that's
get a
the thing.
Pinfall
so to see
early.
that happen, it's not surprising. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, that was annoying. I didn't see it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know if you saw Drake Maverick dressing up as Carmella.
Nope.
Okay, that was entertaining. That I did forget about that. So,
Well,
Drake Maverick.
By the way,
R-Truth
did you
was
notice
escaping
last night 24/7 title barely on the show, but did what it was supposed to do. Tonight the show was a piece of shit. 24 title was all over this.
Yeah, it was. They didn't use it right. They had R-Truth coming out being a tag team partner with The Miz. Awesome Truth was back, and no one could give a shit. They destroyed The Miz in the middle of the ring. Pretty much the only real babyface they have on SmackDown. They decimated him, endlessly. I know it's the numbers game and whatnot, but still, they tore him apart. So they make him look foolish because he's the one seeking out the fight. And I know R-Truth was taking off, but still, the whole build up to it, and you have all the guys run out trying to get the belt, and it didn't work like it did on Raw. So
it wasn't.
I did
close.
enjoy. You missed it, but it was entertaining. Drake Maverick. Well, R-Truth is outside, and he sees one of the referees, and he's like, "Oh, you're my Uber driver," and the referee was like, "Yeah, it's my other job." So I chuckled at that, and all of a sudden, Drake Maverick comes over dressed up like Carmella, and he rolls up Truth and pins him and wins the 24/7 title. So he takes the blonde wig off, rolls up Truth, and he gets the 3 count because the refs are right there. And the ref hands Drake the belt and says, "New champion." Drake jumps into the car, and he's like, "Oh, we're getting married," holding up the championship. He's like, "We're getting married." And R-Truth was like, "Damn it, Carmella, you didn't tell me you were getting married, and I'm not invited." Like, the way R-Truth sold it, it was funny. So that was the only redeeming thing out of pretty much any of this. So, I mean, even the moment of bliss wasn't a redeeming moment of the night. It was okay. That was more entertaining than most of the bullshit we got, but it still wasn't good. It was just better, compared to everything else we got tonight. I like the fact that Bayley, brought up, "Oh, you've done this to Nia Jax, you've done this to Mickie James, you're doing the same thing you always do." And even Alexa made some pretty valid points, so I appreciated that aspect of it. But all in all, just a real piss poor show. Bad wrestling, nothing outstanding. At least last night they had good matches. There just wasn't anything of substance.
Where's the
tonight.
Intercontinental Championship?
I don't know, and it's not being presented at all. Maybe it makes me wonder, like, is Finn hurt? Because we haven't really seen much of him since Money in the Bank. We saw him at the Saudi show. He did good then, but is he nursing some type of injury, or just makes you wonder.
Yeah, right. I mean, then I would get it, I guess. Yeah, but I really do believe
They just don't know what to do with him at this point.
I do believe that I just didn't like it. I didn't like anything I saw in the show. I think I passed out right during the Miz and Truth's match. And I kind of woke up for a second during R-Truth's 24/7 thing. I saw the Bayley and Alexa thing on the ramp, and I couldn't be less interested because it's just the same story again. That's the problem, is it is the same story again, even though they acknowledge that I don't care. It's still the
people
same
saying, "Oh, they have
story.
unfinished business." It's like, I get that. It's just not overly interesting. But I at least appreciated the fact that they brought up and acknowledged what they were doing was not something, wasn't new ground. They were saying, "Alexa, you've done this before." So they kind of resonated with what we've been critiquing on.
Fortunately, they don't understand Bayley's character. Like, Bayley's face. Bayley shouldn't be in a position where she has to fight with somebody on a mic. Bayley should be the type that's like doing autograph signings and doing all these like hugs for kids and like trying to be nice to the audience and getting more in touch with the audience is what they needed to do with Bayley, and then have the evil bad person attacking her and doing things to her, because that really builds her up sympathetic. But to have her on a stage doing like a battle or like a mini half shoot with Alexa doesn't do any favors for Bayley, because she comes off just sucking.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, with the faces, yet again, they don't know how to handle faces, as we were bringing up last night, because Alexa, basically spouts out some truth and said, "Oh, you never wanted me to succeed because I wasn't, the fan you were, just because I wasn't waiting outside of arenas for John Cena's autograph." And eventually Bayley gets mad and couldn't take anymore, and then she snaps back and punches her. But it's always, it seems like it's always the faces that lash out with violence first, not the heels. And it's like, no, it's supposed to be the other way around. You know, the faces are supposed to essentially be the good guys, the noble ones,
or at
walk
least
away.
Something crazy has to be said. Like when,
like
when Roman's kids, like you brought up Roman's kids, I'm gonna disfigure you in front of your children or whatever. All right, now he's gonna go punch the guy. I get it. But, like, for her to be like, oh, I wasn't waiting for the autographs and stuff. And, like, that's what, you know, I don't know. Bayley just comes off as she can't really equal Alexa on the mic, so she has to resort to trying to punch her in the face. Yeah,
and that is an unfortunate thing. And then most of the night was, yet again, Shane McMahon. They focused so much on Shane. I think Shane's going to be the special guest referee, especially now. I said it last night. Seems like that's what's you know, going down for sure. And I feel like this whole thing with Shane is gonna just drag on and on till SummerSlam.
Probably, yeah.
And it was odd as well because they had The Miz kind of, you know, showing recaps and video packages of what Roman should be doing. You know, he was showing Roman's highlights of Roman getting, you know, his. And I understand it's like, oh, the enemy of my enemy kind of idea. So, oh, it's still Shane and Drew getting their ass kicked. But he was kind of like touting up Roman, not really making his own case.
Yeah,
he was basically, you know, speaking for Roman Reigns instead of making himself look good. It was just, you know, he was doing Roman's job for him, so that didn't look great. And the Shane stuff, no one cares about. Drew McIntyre is just drowning in it at this point in time. Unfortunately, it's not a good look for him. The B Team and Heavy Machinery, no one gave a shit about. I'm excited to see the B Team and Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan Sunday. Heavy Machinery. You know, I think that'll be a decent match with the four of them. But obviously, I don't think they have a shot in hell. Heavy Machinery getting the tag belts.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the tag team division was helped a little bit tonight. I feel like Heavy Machinery is helping they're becoming like a little bit of a legitimate team now, so that's good. Like that's one thing that's kind of good. But
it
again,
there's Enzo and Cass minus the mic work, like, you know, in sense of like how fans revere them. You know, they're you know, held in high regard at this point just because of a few things like the Caterpillar and stuff like that. It's that same kind of,
which won't make any sense because they'll probably last longer, and it's ridiculous that Enzo and Cass didn't. You know what I mean?
And they never won the tag titles either. Yeah.
How were Enzo and Cass not like a team for like 3 years? Like
I still regret that they split them up when they did, and the fact that they never got the tag team titles.
It was
NXT or the main roster. They never got the tag team belts.
Once they did that, it was like, well, they fucked this up. This isn't right.
Just by opening the show tonight in general and having it go on, and Ziggler has said this, it should have been me, so many times now that I don't think anybody could give a shit less, and that's a huge problem. But when it goes on for 20 minutes, I know they're trying to make this work, but it feels like that's been done to death.
Long. Way too long.
It's painful.
Dude, let me play these donations real quick. I think there's like 2 or something like that. And I'm sorry, guys, that I wasn't here. I passed the fuck out. I fell asleep because this show was a miserable pile of shit.
You didn't like tonight? Well, it wasn't made for you, bitch. Go back to watching that failure AEW.
WWE. What are you, a fucking woman's march or something? WWE, thank you for the 316. Appreciate that. It won't be for a lot of people when you see the rating, I'll tell you that. So that's true. It certainly isn't for a lot of people. And you'll know that when you see the rating.
Give it a hell yeah!
Raw took 5 steps forward out of 10. SmackDown took 2 steps off the cliff out of 10. Oh well, heading to shitting grounds it is.
Yeah. Joe Green, thank you for the 316, Joe. Thank you guys for the donations that you drop to keep the show going. And tonight I'm going to take a hit financially tonight because I started the show really late, and I'm going to end the show pretty soon because honestly I have nothing to say. And this explains to you what I was talking about.
Party.
Last night I said this, by the way.
Bayley got booed while Alexa told a lot of truth. And between Ziggler and Maverick, we're making WWE great again.
Yeah, Spaz Phoenix, thank you for the $5.
Yeah, Alexa did speak a good amount of shirts to Bailey, and she really tore her down to size, and that's why I was like, but it wasn't like overly scathing though, like you said, to warrant a violent reaction. It was just cutting her down piece by piece. So
I am, I probably give tonight a 2 out of 10. Maybe
I have no problem giving tonight a 1 out of 10. It was awful.
Probably a 1 because I fell asleep. Yeah, I mean, why not a 1? Why would I give it a 2?
The wrestling wasn't good. They destroyed Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn yet again, needlessly. I mean, you barely have enough faces or heels that on either show. So because you're having the wild card and you're throwing people back and forth.
Didn't watch tonight. Wasn't worth my damn time. 3/10.
How can you rate it 3/10 if you didn't watch it?
If you didn't watch.
Casey Rose, thank you for the donation. No, it was worse than 3/10. No doubt about it.
Super Chat Party.
Brock is the referee. Rollins gets folked.
Ooh, that's a great idea. Point. I didn't think about that.
Now, that could be interesting if he's smart. That would be the way to do it. But I still think it's going to be Shane. I didn't consider that either. That is a great idea, Spaz.
Thank you, Spaz Phoenix. Yeah, I said this last night when everybody was like, "Oh, how can you like this show?" Come on, last night, dude. Even though last night wasn't very great, it kept my interest. Not only did it keep my interest, but they actually sold the pay-per-view. They did all these different things, dude. Tonight they sold sleep.
Tonight they didn't focus on the pay-per-view whatsoever, I feel like. The only thing that they kind of built up towards was the tag team match, and that was essentially announced tonight.
Yeah.
Heavy Machinery versus Daniel Bryan and Rowan. That's it. Nothing else I feel like built towards, Ziggler? No, we've seen that. It didn't make me more interested in seeing that happen.
Yeah, I mean...
Adam Cole was doing an interview with Talk Sport, and he was saying how, don't get me wrong, the NXT fans, and he's like, everybody's starting to become, fans of all three brands are starting to morph into one. But the NXT fans are different than the Raw and SmackDown ones. He said some characters or guys may work better on this brand than others. And he said for a lot of guys, we don't look at it as a promotion or that you're upgrading. It's just another brand if you go to the main roster. He said that's how strongly me and Johnny and Ciampa and everyone else feel about NXT. So basically, when you break it down, he's saying like we don't look at Raw and SmackDown as a promotion. We love NXT. That's what he's outright saying. And it's not like you really have to read between the lines there. He said we're not direct quote. He said we're not thinking, gosh, I can't wait to go to the main roster. We're enjoying what we're doing, the stories we're telling. So how could you take that? You figure everyone would be like, wow, I can't wait to go to Raw. That used to be the dream. Now it's like, I love what I'm doing in NXT and I never want to leave. Disappointing, and now you're hearing that some of the crew in the back, I usually don't take this person's insight into consideration. It's a lot of bullshit, but I see what they're getting at here. And some of the stuff they said on Twitter earlier was that speaking to sources with the traveling crew, they said the vibe going into Sunday's Stomping Grounds pay-per-view is similar to the vibe around the In Your House shows from back around 95, 96. The fact that it's low ticket sales, morale is low, a lack of meaningful matches, and most are just rehashed feuds and rematches anyways. That coupled with, like I said, the low ticket sales and the general feeling in the back really reminds a lot of the staff that were there of the 95, 96 years. That's bad. Like, yikes, that's bad.
Yeah, that does. That's not good. I mean, that sounds horrible.
Like I said, it reminds you of when they had Duke, the Dumpster, and Isaac Yankem and TL Hopper. You don't have. That's kind of what they're getting at. So,
do you remember how Vince Russo thought that AEW and WWE are working together? By the way, can you hear the sounds?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. I want to play this for you. Because I heard Vince Russo on Hannibal's show, and he went into how he was like more elaborately why he believes AEW is working together. And he's like, yeah, they did it with ECW, WWE did it with ECW. Of course, ECW was a fledgling company that needed help,
And they were also like pillaging some of their people.
Yeah, they used the talent. But
they used it to foster talent. So
Vince is like, why did WWE bring on Bruce Pritchard, who's not a writer, to the company after 10 years ago Stephanie McMahon fired him? And also Bruce Pritchard works with Conrad Thompson, who is like all AEW. Conrad is AEW. You know, all his stuff is with AEW and those guys. He's friends with them. He's organized the StarCast thing, all these things. So he was going into how, like, you know, Bruce Pritchard's a contact that's helping to organize this in WWE. That's why we're not seeing him do anything creatively. He's not done anything.
Yeah, he's
creative.
not doing.
So what is he doing then?
Writing.
So it's weird, you know what I mean, that he's going over there. And he was talking about how Tony Khan owns a football team. Vince wants to own a football team. Tony Khan wants to be in wrestling. You know, Vince is in wrestling. And he really brought up some really interesting stuff. There's a couple
I'll have to look into it.
There's a couple other things he mentioned too, and it was like, wow, because he, you know, I've heard some of his points before, which I was like, yeah, I actually thought that myself, to be honest. But I thought, no, that's not going to happen. But then, you know, the way these examples he was given, one of the biggest ones was the Bruce Pritchard thing. I was like, you know, I didn't think about that, because we've been like, why is Bruce Pritchard coming here? And you know, he's not really a writer, but he's got ideas, so he's always had these good ideas, so he must be working in the creative, you know. And he's not working in creative right now. But what the fuck is he doing? Why is he back after 10 years? And then all of a sudden WWE's mentioning AEW on the program, and AEW's doing all these things, and it's very weird. Like, I don't know. It is bizarre, but I don't think that they are working together, and I don't think it is like a work like that. But it is just interesting to hear what Vince Russo
it is, you know, certainly a theory.
And Russo says, he said what I said too, because he was like, oh, you know, either this is some crazy elaborate thing, or Vince McMahon really is like insane at this point. He's like, I can't believe that the guy that I worked with, the creative genius that I worked with, has turned into this, like, essentially like an idiot. And he's like, if this is real,
if that's the case, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know
if they're not working together, then he has lost his mind, and I think that's really the case.
Yeah,
I think Vince is just still stuck at a certain point, and the rest of the world moved on without him. He's in such a bubble, surrounded by so many yes men and women, and, you know, people that just agree with him constantly, with no resistance day to day. He kind of just gets what he wants and pays for everything else. I mean, think about it. When everything happened with Saudi, you know, he refused to back down. He wasn't looking at the politics. Any other company, I feel like, would have given in, but not Vince. He sees something, he wants something, you know, he just stands his ground. That's it. You're going to give him what he wants, or else stand back. And that's usually how it goes with him. So it's interesting to really, you know, think that, hey, you know, he's just, that's who he is. You're writing for an audience of one. And that's why the show is suffering. And yeah, I think honestly, it's just all the years of being comfortable, having a monopoly on the wrestling business, and being in charge, that there's, you know, with no opposition and nothing to go against, Vince is just set in his ways, and he's refusing to change. Triple H sees the ebb and flow of things and how wrestling's changing and adapting, and that's why NXT is working so well with the wrestling fans looking for that type of content.
Right.
But and then Triple H builds,
but Triple H still can't get it over
angles.
But Triple H can't get it over to the casual fans or anybody.
Well, I think he could if he was given a chance to flourish with some of them, because when he has no interference with his vision, Triple H's vision. I mean, look at how quick Aleister Black and Ricochet and people, you know, they got over. But when you start to meddle and get in the way of certain things, these other, you know,
oh
gimmicks,
God, his fucking promo again tonight. I wanted to murder myself.
That was bad as well. And that's the thing, you know, and it falls apart. look at what Sanity was great, and then they get up to the main roster, and Vince has to tweak it and change it. Anytime you have an NXT guy come up and it's not immediately messed with, it's worked pretty well. Kevin Owens worked really well at first, and there's been some people that have had some success, but most times he just messes up everything. Now they couldn't keep Nikki Cross with Sanity and all that kind of stuff, but yet they repackaged Sarah Logan now, and she's a Viking, and she's going to raid the entire women's division, and now they're saying that she's going to be working with the Viking experience, whatever, Viking Raiders, and they've done it as well recently. They did it with the Iconics, Mojo Rawley, Aleister Black, a few others, where they cut promos and they test them out in the commercial breaks, and that's what they did with Sarah Logan. They had her cut a promo yesterday during Raw during a commercial break, with her saying that she's going to raid the entire women's division and whatever. It's she's always had that Viking theme behind her, but it's just, I don't know. It just baffles me. They have things that work from NXT, and then they just Vince tweaks it and changes it. Like we said, it wasn't, look at the War Raiders. It wasn't war. It wasn't any type of opposition with that. He just didn't care for it, so might as well make a change. Yeah, it's baffling at times, but I'm Vince Russo might be onto something. If they're not in cahoots, then it really comes down to the fact that, hey, look at that, Vince has lost his mind. Side note, really quick, Tony Khan was a guest on Steve Austin's podcast this week, and they were talking about Jon Moxley. And Austin gave a bit of insight on his podcast with Dean. And he said, I've been carrying 1,000 pounds on my back ever since that podcast happened. I felt so bad about that interview, and I was leading the interview, so I take the fault of it because I'm there to get people over and make them come off like $1 million. And after mentioning that he recently spoke with Moxley on the phone for 30 minutes, and they are now back on the same page, Stone Cold said, from the end of that interview until just the other day, the one thing is something that I think about almost every day. I shit you not. He thought about that interview every single day. He said, that's how bad it bothered me. He said, this has haunted me for so long. People think I'm this guy. I don't know, this Darth Vader force field around me where I don't have feelings, but I do. And when I've not made someone look the way they're supposed to look, that haunts me. So I think he knows that it obviously he's heard the feedback for that interview, because usually on his podcast he gets people talking and it works really well. Yeah, him and Wade Keller usually have really good conversations. So I
think Dean Ambrose is kind of a cunt. I'm not kidding. It's like Dean Ambrose didn't want to talk. I know that he was upset and he was like, "Oh, you don't know what it's like now." Well, then say all that stuff.
Yeah, but he also sandbagged him because he didn't want to go into anything personal. And he said to WWE, I don't want to discuss anything personal. And I guess part of that was that didn't get back to Austin.
Right.
I had heard that over the weekend that Austin didn't know about Dean not wanting to get into the personal stuff. So Austin thinks that he's trying to get him to pry open, get him, hey, what happened? How did you change? How did you, and kind of humanize Dean, like you had said, and make him seem more relatable. And Dean wanted none of that, and that's when Dean shut down. So,
oh man,
it's on the fault of both sides. But Dean, if he didn't have to get overly personal, but he still could have explained some things too. I re-listened to certain clips over the weekend. It's funny that it's a bit different how it plays out in your mind than how you remember it. So listening back, it's like, yeah, Dean is a bit of a cunt for the way he handled some of that. He really sandbagged Austin at some points.
Yeah, because it was I get that he should have just I think the problem for me was he should have gone one or the other way. He should have either literally have a conversation with a guy, a real conversation, instead of being I don't know what you're talking about, or flip the fuck out and be like, here's the fucking deal. I'm the champion and I don't want to talk about that shit. Now move on to something else, or the champ is going home. Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know what I mean? He could have.
Yeah, it may be your show, but I'm in charge. I'm the champ, and I don't. We're not going into my history. You want to talk wrestling? Exactly. That's how it should have been handled.
Yeah, I don't. it was funny because like that happened, and then he just like he appeared to be a guy who didn't even want the WWE Championship. He was like a dude who was walking around like, "Hey, what's up? It's me. Where have seen Renee Young?" Like, and so like I don't know what that was. I don't know if WWE was doing that to him. I don't know if he was doing that. All I know is I saw the charisma of Stone Cold in that room, and I saw the non-charismatic, loner, pathetic, sort of just grungy, laid-back Dean Ambrose sitting there. And I thought to myself, man, that guy is the world champion. That guy, Dean Ambrose, somehow is the world champion.
Yeah, he wasn't even like cool about it, like, oh, I don't give a damn, like in a cool sense, like Easy Rider kind of. No, it was like this is beneath me. I don't want this. It was bizarre for sure.
It was so weird. I got to figure out if those videos are not public, but all my old videos on it were hilarious. And
God, the recaps that you did. My favorite was when you had Jeff Hardy and Dean together on the Stone Cold show with all the voices.
Oh my God,
that cracks me up.
That shit.
There was a point in time where I'd go back and listen to that every now and again.
But now, as John Moxley, when he's doing promos, I'm like, oh hell yeah, this guy's like full of life and energy again. Like, that's not the guy we saw in WWE. It's just not him. And all I can do is judge the guy I saw in WWE and the guy I saw on that podcast. And the guy I saw on that podcast, it was like Raven. Dude, he was like if Raven was the champion. Like, what about me? You don't understand my pain. Like, that's what Dean was almost like. It was like Dean was like that, but not like that. Because Raven was like, oh, you don't understand my pain and stuff. But, like, Dean didn't want to talk about that. But yet he was acting like that in a way. It was weird. Yeah. It was fucking weird.
It really was bizarre and just didn't quite add up. Now, you want to talk bizarre. Did you hear about Ricochet?
No.
There's a not safe for work video of Ricochet in existence. Apparently, he was the target of another superstar leak. And there's a video out there of Ricochet finger blasting his own asshole. Allegedly.
Wait, like
not joking. This is actually being reported by major news sites.
Wait, do you mean like he's like he bends over joking around like I would do and finger blast?
I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it directly. But according to the news sites, it said the footage that surfaced online of Ricochet in a very compromising position. It certainly looks like him, as everything from his abs to his tattoos match perfectly. It said it's a gross invasion of privacy, and we can't help but feel bad for him. The video is very graphic, and the act he is doing on camera can be best described by the tweet below. And the tweet says, "Stop acting surprised. There is a video of Ricochet finger blasting his butthole. You knew this."
Wait a minute. He's like I'm trying to figure out why this is happening. Like,
I don't know, but apparently the video was leaked along with several photos, and there's private video of Ricochet online that's been sent forward.
Like, he's in porn and he's fingering his asshole, and like,
I don't know if it's like, I think it's private footage that was leaked. Maybe he was sending it to somebody, or
why would he send himself finger banging?
I don't know. I wish I had better insight in that. I'm gonna try and look up more for out of nowhere and find out. But it says, this is what's being reported at this point in time. So,
what the fuck?
Pretty embarrassing circumstance for him at this point in time. Certainly not something that you would want to have shared on the internet.
Let me see.
I'm trying to get back into my Twitter at this point in time. I had my old phone number tagged to it, so when I went ahead and my internet went out last night, I went to go log back in. It's asking for my phone number, and it keeps sending that confirmation code from the two-step.
One of the things about this is, Ricochet doesn't seem like the type of guy that does that.
Yeah, that's the odd part.
Like if you said Joe Cronin's like finger blasting his asshole video just leaked, you'd be like, yeah, Joe's fucked. You know, like I swear to God, like the community even in the chat, if it was a video and like people were like, did you hear that Joe Cronin's video got seen? He accidentally showed it the other day by accident in the background or something, and it was like him fingering his asshole. It's like people would be like, what the fuck? That guy's fucked. They're like, yeah, that's about right. You know, but Ricochet finger banging his asshole or finger blasting his asshole, that's weird.
Yeah, it just doesn't line up character-wise with what you would think him to be privy to. I mean, a lot of the things that when I can still search on like a non-signed in Twitter, and it says it's funny how many people are talking about Ricochet sex tape right now when there's no sign of tape anywhere, but there's a
butt drag. That's not.
I see some of it. Right here it says someone on Instagram posted a video of Ricochet fingering himself, and there were other videos. I tried to post it here to download, but it failed. So I don't know. I guess I'm. I mean, first of all, I don't care. Like, right? Like, no. I mean, to each their own. You want to do stuff. It just sucks that
Yeah, I don't know. Just trying to figure out why that's so. So anyway, they had some meeting, and so how do we know about this now?
It's for the video that I don't know. It was just being reported online.
Wouldn't it be great if like him and Balor's a video came out with them like just fucking romping each other, just fucking romping each other, I found one of the videos that it definitely looks like his tattoos and stuff. He's just masturbating, so. Ugh.
Yeah. Fantastic.
It's hot.
It looks like his tattoos on his chest and stuff. Kind of crop that out.
I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah. The links I go to for you people.
Low links.
Right here it says, there's the tweet, and it says Ricochet, and I don't know. It looks like his tattoos.
You know what?
You don't have to press play to see the tattoos. So.
Unless he...
Super chat.
The chat, I'll put the link there. You guys can enjoy that.
I didn't come here to hear this news, lol.
It's in the chat. Chaser35 goes, I didn't come here to hear this news. Thanks for the $2. Thank you.
But it's just the point of, I wonder if there'll be any punishment for him.
No.
It looks like a video he sent to somebody, so it's him masturbating. That's what it is. I don't see anything of him blasting his ass, but it's definitely him masturbating in the video that was tagged on Twitter.
Yeah,
it looks like it was sent to somebody, just like the stuff that happened with Rollins. He sent somebody a picture,
or the women, or Paige. Yeah. I'm practicing.
Exactly, just like with Paige, and
So
I mean, but I wonder if there'll be any type of punishment or
for what?
I just for him. They did other stuff with him in. They've had other people get punished for stuff. So I mean. Things that are in the past. This is more of an invasion of privacy, though. So I don't.
Yeah, they won't do anything. They won't do anything with this.
Yeah,
and they shouldn't. Just fuck them. Who cares? What?
They shouldn't. I would hope
he's jerking off. Who cares? Fuck him.
That's the thing, But
you know what? Too bad to the fucking idiots who hack people's phones and stuff, or whatever or whoever does what. It's like you're fucking retarded. Nobody cares. The guy jerked off in a video. The fucking Page Stucker. I mean, the Page stuff was different because that was like, thank you God for that blessing of those amazing videos.
Yeah, no kidding. But.
And like she was coming up, people were coming on the belt. Like, I mean, there was stuff that was in that you were like, whoa.
Yeah, that was
like Brad Maddox and Xavier Woods banging her and like all these things. Like that was.
And then every time, I thought that was it.
Jake, is that why you were late? You were masturbating to this.
Yes, Broken Lion. That's why we were late tonight. Jake was jerking off to this.
Damn it, you caught me. That's how I was the first one to know.
Well, this was very weird.
It's an interesting way to end it. No, but Ringside News was the first one to report it, so I was like, I'm not sure if I believe that. Then I saw it pop up on a few other sites, but I was kind of weary to investigate further. But yeah, there is that video on Twitter. So I linked that in the chat. You guys can suffer with me there.
Am I gay if I jerk off to him jerking off?
No, it's jerk off inception at that point.
Okay, then I know what I'm doing tonight.
You're just comparing.
This is gonna be great. This is gonna be good tonight. Let me tell you that. I'm gonna watch it in reverse, so it looks like I put the man juice back in him.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbase the turkey.
Unbase the turkey. Dude, I'm fucked, and so are you. But no, Ricochet, you got nothing to worry about, bro. Just keep going out there and doing flips. I don't care. You jerked off. Who cares?
Go win that U.S. title.
Go win that U.S. belt, baby. Just don't jerk off on it. You know, as long as you don't jerk off.
Don't
on
shove
it.
it up your ass.
Yeah, don't finger blast the title. Don't take a dump on it.
Go play Smell My Finger with Samoa Joe.
Oh man, imagine Samoa Joe's jerk off video. Fucking.
Oh, that would be angry.
This like 3-inch cock he has probably.
With him in the Girl Scout outfit that he wore in that skit, you know.
Oh man,
feverishly masturbating. This is what happens when it's a bad. Last night, we couldn't stop discussing Raw to the point where we went down memory lane, you know, and we were discussing our favorite Raws and loudest pops and great review. If you guys didn't hear last night, really, you know, go ahead and
because normally, like, I'm like, you don't need to go back and watch any of our reviews because it's always so blah that and the donations and stuff. It's like, don't even listen to the review. Like 2 months later, don't listen to a review. But last night's review, again, we had so many pros and cons and what if this and that it was insane. We could have gone another hour. And here we are tonight. I start 30 minutes late because I fell asleep. And I have nothing to tell you about tonight's show. It was so bad. So bad. This was one of the worst. Last night was was the best show of the year at a 5 out of 10, which is still a failing grade. Tonight was a 1 out of 10, probably the worst show of the year tonight. One of, if not the, but probably not the, because there was a couple of Raws, but this was one of the worst shows of the year.
Yeah, this was horrid. And especially because they had such great momentum from last night. They could have capitalized on a lot of things. Focusing on Shane yet again is not the way to go, and especially with him kind of getting his ass beat in the ring last night, they could have left off with that. I know they wanted McIntyre to get his heat back, but this was not the way to do it, especially not with The Miz. And you can't really have him garner a lot of heat when it's, you know, a numbers game. When it's him and Elias versus just The Miz because R-Truth is you know, busy with the title. It doesn't work well. And they also had Shelton Benjamin, I think it was, I think he was the one that grabbed the belt, the 24/7 championship, running around like an idiot.
Yeah.
And he's like, even the ref was like, no, you have to pin him to win it. I was like, why would they, you know, you have to be, you're that stupid?
Here we go, about to get it, man. Here we go. Here we go. Oh,
pin it to win it. Oh my God, Riff Reaper.
Where can I watch the Stone Cold Tony Khan interview? I heard it aired today, but I can't find it anywhere online. FML.
I think you can hear it if you just Google Stone Cold's podcast.
Yeah, and someone re-uploaded it to YouTube. It's also on like Google Play and iTunes. There's nowhere to watch it. It's just the audio podcast, at least that I know of.
Yeah, if you just Google right now on your phone or whatever Stone Cold podcast and listen to the Stone Cold podcast, it should be the latest episode to play. So I believe. Man, Raw was so much better last night. I can't believe it. Riff Reaper, thank you. Raw for the, like, you could bring up all the little things Raw did, but one of the biggest things was the fact that, again, they sold the pay-per-view. Holy shit, they actually tried to sell the pay-per-view. And by the way, tonight they tried to keep with the theme of, oh my God, anything can happen. Monique, thank you very much for subbing to the channel. What's up?
And speaking of that, I mean, Elias splashes R-Truth in the corner and gets the high knee. And then all of a sudden, high knee, and gets the pin. Shouldn't he be the 24/7 champion then if he pins him in the match? Or does the belt have to be on the line when you're in a match? I thought the belt was always, like, even if you're in a match, you're the champion, the belt is still on the line.
Now I guess it's on hold when you're in a match.
You know, talk about
they made a
convoluted
comment. They made a comment about that. They didn't tell you the rules, though. They just said, Well,
but Shane
now,
said for this match, he didn't say for all matches. That's the thing. That's why it's so confusing.
No, I agree. They honestly made a comment tonight that was like, "Oh, and the match is over now, so now anybody can go after." It was like, okay, well, you never.
All right. I didn't hear that. So that's good.
They said that, but they didn't really say it like to tell us the rule. So they really didn't tell us the rule. They just assumed the rule, and we went, "Oh, okay, so that is the rule." I don't know. They didn't tell us. So they didn't tell us, but they did clarify that apparently that is the rule by saying that, but they still didn't really tell us. Dude, Cien Almas attacks somebody, I forget now who that was.
Oh, backstage it was
Apollo
Crews.
Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
Apollo Crews.
He made it look like he was, coming up being creepy, and he was like, "No, I'm just looking for Andrade."
Even that dude, like they tried to that felt like they tried to kind of do what Raw had last night, because on Raw everybody was being attacked. Like that was like if they didn't know what to do, they just did, all right, attack the guy. That's what they did, and they did it here, but it came off really cheesy. Apollo Crews, his acting was horrible. It was overproduced. And it was just stupid. And it's weird because last night things came off a little more authentic.
It felt just cheesy. And then even the stuff with Ember Moon, she got her Nintendo Switch destroyed last week. And they're like, oh, and I wanted to give, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville kind of, benefit of the doubt here by them trying to be at least convincing. They're eating the donuts, and that's kind of their thing. When they did the ride along, like they always are big into donuts, so that was like a wink and a nod to people that know that about them.
Yeah,
they get donuts everywhere they go, and but they said, "Oh, I'm not going to apologize for breaking your game because there's better ways for you to occupy your time, and you can't hide your entire life behind video games, that kind of stuff." And then all of a sudden, she just snaps after they make here, have a donut kind of idea, and it just, but it didn't feel believable at all. And Ember really looked just like a crazy person instead of someone that was with a score to settle.
Yeah, Ember Moon, that whole thing was retarded. So I have nothing more to say about this, and I want to go. I'm gonna go back to sleep. To be honest, I want to go back to bed. Part of my ear is like fucking filled with shit. Like I got wax filled up in my ear and obviously blocking my hearing, and it's like causing disorientation because it's like it feels like my ears being prodded at, and it sucks, dude. So I tried to wash it out with water tonight in peroxide or whatever, and I don't know. I'm gonna try tomorrow again, but
use as warm as water as you can take it.
Yeah, that's true. I need to get one of those bulb syringe things to squirt it in.
Ooh, now you're getting me excited again.
Yeah, and then I'll take a fucking video of me jerking off the Ricochet. But yeah, I'm sorry that I was late and that that I'm kind of just very monotone right now and everything. This show literally killed me tonight and put me in a coma. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. I put up a Patreon video today, 40 minutes of Morning Madness, where I answered questions and talked about some things. So that's up on Patreon. If you missed it, go listen to that. Feel free to leave some comments on that. And there'll be another one tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll do Out of Nowhere, the wrestling podcast. There's probably be a lot to talk about tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll give you our predictions for Stomping Grounds. I've got some insight with that and some plans going forward, building into the rest of the summer, heading into SummerSlam. Talk a little bit about Ronda Rousey. Got some other news, and we'll see what else happens with Ricochet's, nudes. That could be rather explosive.
I'm also going to, also I'll be doing gaming afterwards. So whether it's me playing something or if everybody sticks around, Jake stays. But either way, I'll be gaming tomorrow night, and we'll have a party tomorrow to make up for tonight's lacklusterness. Plus, I was up early this morning with my kids, so that was the other thing. So all the things really. This has happened before, though, and when SmackDown's been good or Raw's been good, this has happened before, and I didn't fall asleep because I can do it because when the show's good, I'll be like, oh, that's interesting, and I'll write it down. And I just kept finding myself being like, this is not interesting. I don't want to see this. I hope this is over soon. Fuck, now this is happening. Like, what is this? Fuck.
Well, you nailed it. Nothing's intriguing. Nothing feels genuine. Everything feels genuinely obvious as to who's going to win, and there's no memorable like moments or scenarios that stand out at this point in time. Even with a good Raw yesterday, decent Raw, there was nothing like, oh my God, that really stands out in my mind. Like, it was an enjoyable show to watch, but trying to think back right now is like, what stood out?
You know what stood out to me? Fucking, I liked EC3. I'm telling you, because
I mean that was funny, and that
he got hit with a chair.
But you had to remind me of that to think of it.
But did you see when he got hit with the chair too? When he got hit with the chair, he started rolling around like he was trying to put out a fire.
Yeah. And then he goes on Twitter and says that it's killing him on the inside.
Like, please, I beg of you guys, like, go back and watch that, because normally when people get hit in the back with a chair, they stay down and then they get up and they get hit in the back again, or they, and they keep giving them the back. EC3 got hit in the back and then rolled over on his stomach and then stayed there, and then Seth hit him in the stomach and then he rolled back over again. And I still can't figure out right now if he meant to do that to make that look hilarious like it did to me. And there was almost a look on Seth's face like, what the fuck? So I almost wonder if he was trolling Seth. Because if you go watch the video, when Seth's hitting him with the chair, he just keeps rolling back and forth like he's trying to put the fire out. Like he's trying to put a fire out. It's fucking hilarious.
It is worth watching.
Like this, like, I don't know what the fuck he was doing, man. And when he got hit, he just sold it hilarious. He fell right onto his chest and bumped off the stage. I don't know, whatever. I thought EC3 was fucking hilarious last night, and the New Day talking for him. It was so stupid, really, but it was like, I don't know why it got me. It's I laughed out loud at that, man. I thought that was really funny. Maybe I'm an idiot. But anyway, I'm done. I got nothing else. And yeah, EC3's tweet afterwards was really sad. I don't know what's up with that, but that's terrible because he did, I don't know. I mean, hopefully better things will come for him. I also don't understand Mike and Maria Bennett, Kanellis. Don't understand why they signed a 5-year deal and the way what's going on. And I mean,
they're saying like, oh, we're not even being used. And she also just, had an article coming out, or not an article, a response. She was talking about how, like, oh, this job is not a dictatorship. It's a job. I'm able to go ahead and comment as I like to. I had the quote directly before, but she went ahead. Oh, she said, call it what you want. It's a job, not a dictatorship. I have an opinion. I'll speak my opinion. I will try to change things from the inside. How do you think I got things done in every company I've worked for? By putting in the work and fighting for what I believe is right. Because somebody said, oh, you just signed a new contract and you're already complaining. And she's like, I'm not complaining. I'm trying to get things fixed because, we bring the most viewership to 205 Live and now you're not even using us. Cool. And especially because it is odd. They just signed those new contracts and you're not even going to have them show up on 205 Live. That makes no sense.
That's weird. This whole thing doesn't make any sense. Nothing about tonight made any sense. My name is Joe Cronin. He's Jake DeMarco. You guys are badass. Jake, I'll talk to you later. Thank you for trying to call me and wake me up and everything, dude. Like, I'm sorry that I wasn't there. And
hey, it's teamwork, baby.
I know. I think you might have helped me wake up, to be honest, even though I didn't wake up right away. Thanks, Jake. I'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Have a great night. Everybody stay sexy.
Love you all. Jake DeMarco is at Countdown Ended once he gets his Twitter back up. And mine is at CorruptedPod on Twitter. My Twitter is at CorruptedPod.
C3.
Good night, everybody.
The bottom 1%. Yeah. I am not on the card. I am not on the card. I am not on the card. I am EC3. Not on the card. Yeah. EC3, WWE doesn't even know what the fuck to do with me. Yeah, you haven't seen me on TV, but I've been in the back posing for girls. Look at my muscles. Yeah, look at me. Why am I here? Why did they sign me? Cause I bang Dixie Carter's rear. Take a look at my physique, you get weak, but you never see me week to week. What's going on? Yeah, I am not on the card. I am Not on the card. EC3. Yeah. EC3. Not on the card. I am the bottom one.